In the 1950s, the helicopter design industry seemed to favor light and ultralight helicopters. Several models of such equipment appeared, but their fate was basically the same, with very few of them entering service. The American XH-26 micro helicopter was one of them. The XH-26 was a project jointly proposed by the U.S. Army Aviation and the Air Force. Similar to similar equipment in other countries, the military hoped that the helicopter could perform communication, observation, and other tasks. It could be folded for transport and airdropped from larger aircraft, used for rescuing parachuting pilots deep behind enemy lines. There were also hopes that it could open up sales opportunities in the civilian sector. The main body of the aircraft itself was a small conical structure, with the pilots sitting directly inside. The front and both sides had large windows, providing excellent visibility. Instead of using a traditional piston engine or a turbine engine, it used the rare XPJ-49AH-3 pulsejet engine. Pulsejet engines do not have an output power shaft like piston engines, and are similar to rocket engines in that they generate thrust after ignition. This type of engine is generally used for subsonic target drones and was also used for the V-1 missile during World War II. Due to the characteristics of this engine, it was actually installed at the tip of the propeller and would drive the rotation of the two-blade propeller after ignition. However, a pulsejet engine cannot be ignited when stationary. It needs the air entering the intake to reach a certain speed before it can be ignited and maintain combustion to generate continuous thrust. Therefore, the aircraft stored compressed air which could be used to drive the rotor before igniting the pulsejet engine, once a certain speed was reached. The benefit of this propulsion system was that the aircraft did not have the strong torque of a traditional helicopter, and did not require a complex variable pitch tail rotor structure to balance flight attitude. The rear of the conical fuselage had a small tail boom, a pair of V-shaped tail wings in the middle, and a small propeller at the end for directional control. This propeller used belt drive, and the power source should have come from the main rotor. The landing gear of the aircraft was a 3-point configuration, but for such a small aircraft, it did not matter whether it was a skid-type landing gear or not. The entire weight of the aircraft was very light, with an empty weight of only about 135 kilograms. After folding, it could be placed in a 5-foot x 5-foot x 14-foot container, weighing 320 kilograms when loaded into the container. Once folded and stored, the helicopter could be easily towed by a jeep or similar vehicle, and could also be parachuted for airdrop. It could be assembled by 2 people in 20 minutes. The biggest drawback of the XH-26 was its power system. When the pulsejet engine was running, it produced a tremendous amount of noise. The V-1 missile during World War II was also known as the buzz bomb due to the noise of its engine. The noise level of the XH-26 was similarly high. The aircraft itself was lightweight, and its performance indicators could not compare with those of conventional helicopters, making its battlefield survivability questionable. Furthermore, after installing the pulsejet engine at the propeller tip, it affected the autorotation of the rotor. In the event of an engine failure, the aircraft could not perform autorotative landing to reduce damage, and could only crash heavily to the ground. The aircraft had already passed flight tests by the Army Aviation and the Air Force, and there were plans to replace the pulsejet engine with a ramjet engine. However, considering the potential problems and costs of the aircraft, the project was ultimately abandoned. The XH-26 helicopter had an empty weight of 135 kilograms, a length of 3.73 meters, a height of 1.88 meters, a main rotor diameter of 8.23 meters, a crew of 1 person, a maximum speed of 135 kilometers per hour, a maximum range of 168 kilometers, and a maximum altitude of 2,134 meters.